Well, so close yet so far. The Nifty 50 index came strikingly close to reclaiming 9,000. Unfortunately, it failed to do so, eventually withering away and falling below the mark of 8,900. So what promised to be a really good day of trade, well, eventually turned out to be a disappointing one. And well, that brings me to the intraday graph. We have seen a steady decline as far as today's day of trade is concerned, hasn't it?
Yeah, so perfectly put, I'd say. I think you just perfectly described it when you said so close yet far. So after coming really close to that 9,000 mark for the first time in 2 years, we saw Nifty giving away all its gain and ending the day well below that 8,900 mark with losses of around 6 and over of half a percent. And notably, Agam, this is for the first time. Like today, Nifty touched a 52-week high of 8,992, and this is last year. This particular date we saw Nifty actually hitting a 52-week low of 7,308 mark. So there's something got to do with this March rate that Nifty has got to do with. Surprisingly, in the entire day of trade, we saw auto stocks only holding their head above the water. It was the only counter that we saw which ended the day in green. Lest all the counters, be it IT, be it banking, be it pharma, they all ended the day in red. Even metal counter, for that matter, after being up in the trade in the morning after China curbed its output, we saw that counter witnessing some profit booking and ending the day in red. Well, that's that in terms of the broad day gains. But then if we look at the chart, after witnessing somewhat a good positive start in the morning and coming close to that 9,000 mark, we saw Nifty actually struggling to hold on to that 8,950 level. And in the late trades, in fact, we actually saw Nifty trading below that level and ending with losses of around half of a percent, more than half of a percent at that 8,899 mark. So that's that in terms of Nifty broader day moment. How was it in F&O space? Did we see more writing coming in for 9,000 calls?
Right, so we've seen a little bit of a continuation of trend there. Given the fact that we've seen the Nifty move below the mark of 8,900, there has been more writing when it comes to the 9,000 calls. So let's take a closer look at what's happened in the options market. As you can see, the largest amount of accumulation taking place today is the 9,000 call, and this is followed by the upper level calls such as 9,100, 9,300. On the lower end, you see further accumulation as far as the 8,800 and the 8,700 puts are concerned. So that brings me to the maximum open interest. We still have it at 9,000, but we have more resistance building up in the 9,100 and 9,200. And as far as the lower levels are concerned, once again I spoke to Chandan Taparia of the derivatives analyst at Motilal Oswal, and he suggests that there is more base formation in the 8,700 and the 8,800 puts. So at least in the near term, Nikki, it brings me down to a 200-point range based on maximum open interest. But we do not know for sure whether or not this will be held. Yes, we have seen more writing in the 9,000 call, but that is essentially because we lost out to that level. What happens next? Well, it will depend on how much of a build up that we see in the 8,900 and the 8,800 call. But for now, things, at least for today, were a tad disappointing. And excuse me, that's been further brought in by weakness in Idea Cellular and BPCL today.
Right. So just moving over to the broader gainers and losers for the day. Let's address the gainers first. On the gaining side, we have Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVRs and Tata Motors sitting with ending the day with gains of around 3%, and also Bajaj Auto seeing gains of around 3%. This was after the company reported almost flat sales number. However, the motorcycle sales, two-wheeler sales that we saw were 4% up. Also, Ultratech Cement ended the day well above that 2% mark. On the flip side, we saw Idea Cellular losing out on ending in red and losing out around 3%. BPCL ending the day with 3% losses. Adani Ports, all the pharmaceutical counters like Dr. Reddy and Sun Pharmaceuticals also ended the day in losses of around 1.5% to 2.5%. Now, Idea Cellular losses of around 3.5% came after we saw this company really see clocking gains in the previous two sessions after the few block deals that was seen in the previous session of trade. That's the broader front that we're seeing, the top Nifty gainers and losers. How was the action in F&Os? How was the action in broader market?
Well, disappointing when it comes to the broader market breadth. Well, we're looking at just about one gainer for four losers. A few pockets that stand out with respect to losses. First one is, of course, the realty space. It's taken a big knock, but that is also because the realty space has been doing very, very well. So perhaps there is some suggestion that there's profit taking in this particular sector. So with respect to weakness, we're looking at DLF declining by as much as 8%, closing at a day's low. This is followed by more weakness in Sobha. We have India Bulls Realty declining by 6.5%. We've seen more declines in the likes of Adani Enterprises as well as India Cement. Now, JP Associates, JP Infra, and JP Power once again standing out, and this has been these stocks have been extremely volatile given we are moving into the election results for UP. Well, Raymond is the other counter which stands out in trade. This is after a minority shareholder has raised concerns with respect to expenditure in the company, on the back of which we've seen declines of as much as 5.7%. Among others, we have Network 18 showing a loss of 6.2% after a lot of strength yesterday, and Biocon from the pharmaceutical space also standing out, declining by as much as 7.3%. On the whole, it has turned out to be a disappointing day of trade. We have seen the Nifty not only not unable to reclaim 9,000, but it's actually moved below the mark of 8,900. And well, we just had to wait and watch whether or not we can see those levels come back. But for now, that is all that we have for today. Thank you for watching Bloomberg Quint, and we'll see you tomorrow.